Due to technical difficulties, we are joining the program already in progress.
I can do the hide show command, hide show annotations. Brings up this, see the icon right here? I can just click on the individual dimensions and bring them back, and then I can edit them. Edit that, exit that mode, they're there again. But let's go ahead and leave them hidden. I know they're correct for this, what I'm doing right here. So now you have a nice drawing border, and I don't know, that was pretty quick. Right, that wasn't too bad. However, I'm going to go back to my sheet, and it's gray. Do you guys like gray borders? Does that make sense? You like a gray border, but you don't. Okay, this is how you get the one or the other, right? If it's gray, you just leave it, all right? If it's not gray, you can take charge, highlight them all. And of course the color is not up right now, so I'm going to add that to the interface real quick. Line format. Line format is going to be your friend. I recommend having the line format up. This is going to save you a lot of time just having it already available to you. It's useful in many situations which you might not even expect. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to change the thickness so that it's going to appear thicker like a border should appear. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color. Now, this is a simple little trick here. Change the color. If I leave it at black, it's not going to change. It's going to, if I come back out, it's still going to be gray. So I'm going to pick another color and then pick black. Doing that tells the system I really want black. Okay. Somewhat important. It's a good little nuance. I mean, it is useful to, if you're using the standard colors, that is useful to keep the standard. If you don't change it, to keep it. But now that I've done that, it knows that I really do want black, and it's going to make black the color instead of use a system color. And if you note, there it is. Do I get applause for that one? No, don't worry about it. That's okay. Just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. Now what we're going to do is draw all the individual lines for the no, we're not going to do that. I'm going to do, through the magic of television, we're going to skip a lot of that now. And I did bring some files over, and hopefully they weren't deleted on me. Okay, here's a pre-created one right here. Man, I'm good, huh? Right. All right. So, I mean, there's all kinds of elements you can put into a drawing template. These are the choices I had from a previous incarnation of my life, and I would basically declare what your unit of measure is. You can try to throw in surface finish, the ANSI standards, have your little disclaimer, third angle projection. So basically, go through and add all of these individual annotations into your title block. Let's edit the sheet format real quick. Now we are at the sheet, of course, at the level. Now we're at the sheet format level. Actually, edit sheet format. There we go. Notice I'm automatically got the scale being pulled up. I automatically have the file name being pulled up, and I automatically have the sheet being pulled up. These are just simply options. If you double-click it, you might not see it. If you right-click on it, you'll see, go to Edit Text in Window. You can see the PRP code right here. This points, I'm sorry, there's no way to scale that up quickly for you guys. But this points that annotation to that property in the file. In this case, that's a file property that you can utilize anywhere. So it's ubiquitous. You can use it anywhere.
Do you lock that so nobody else can override it? Like just click on it and write text in?
No, but we can get a little bit into the title block. We can get a little bit into the title block. What's it called? Actually, it's just called define title block. It will make them less inclined to do that, and we'll do that. We'll do a little bit of that in a bit here. There's a little trick here for file name. If you double click on it, again, you don't really see much. I'll right click on it again, go to Edit Text in Window. SolidWorks files are always going to have the same file name extension. It's always going to be SLDDRW. So, but if you do type in just the file name itself, there's a property that does the whole file name, not with the extension. I forget what that property is right now. But I don't use that. What I do is I use the one that pulls in the basic, the file name without the extension. Because if you pull the file name in with the extension, it's going to be lowercase letters. Well, there's a high chance it's going to be lowercase letters for the extension itself. And that's a problem for some drafting companies. Some drafting standards don't like to have lowercase letters. So if you want uppercase letters, use the file name. It's called SW-file name. And then type in the extension yourself. It doesn't hurt anything. That is exactly what it's always going to be. And it basically presents the proper name when you have it in the field here. Sheet size is another property. Again, that one is going to be total sheets. Now the trick here is you don't necessarily need to type all that PRP code in. You can do it much easier. If I go here and I go to link to property, current document, and then you have the full list here and you just pick the one that you want. So you don't have to type, you don't have to memorize the code at all. You can do author, comments, create a date, current sheet, number, file, folder name, etc. You got all kinds of choices there that you can choose from that you can put into any annotation. Okay. So we drew the title border. Thicknesses, okay. Mentioned the fact that you want to use vector art if you possibly can. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to add in some properties to the drawing. I think that's probably the next reasonable step here. So again, I go to File Properties, I go to File, and then Properties, and then the ones we're going to add are going to be Release Status. Again, we want text. I'll say Preliminary. And then do Revision. Actually, I have a good question real quick here, kind of a poll. My experience has been that most companies use Rev A as the first rev. Is anybody else still using a dash as the first rev? Okay, that's very good to know. Thank you. So there's it will look like about a quarter of people. I'll just do A here real quick though. You can see any evaluated values over here. So this is actually important if you have more complex things in here. If I put in material, for example, you'll see the material shown here as opposed to the PRP code. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and save that for right now. So I'm going to show you a little trick real quick. If you need to go ahead and create documents across multiple sizes, this is going to be the first time, of course. If you need to move a title block, I did a lot of work drawing that title block in when I originally drew that title block in. Do I need to redraw that title block in 100 times? Even 2 times is too many times, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and edit the sheet real quick. Oops, we're already editing the sheet format. Just highlight it all. Notice what I did here. I'm just using the direction. I start in the upper right, upper left, and then go down to the lower right. That will bring in only the elements right inside the window. If I went the other way, if I started on the right side, went this way, that touches everything. That selects everything. So that's a little trick here. If you select it one way, you select everything. If you select it another way, you select only what's inside the window itself. And I'm going to delete. I see there's an extra. See how that works? The difference is now I can isolate that one item there and delete it. So I'm going to highlight it all, highlight the entire title block, right-click on it, and make block. Select my insertion point. It's good to do this with the title block and border already in place because then I can just take the insertion point and drop it right on that corner. That makes your life a whole lot easier later on.
Do you know what the 2 components are to that, the insertion?
It's I don't want to speak too much, but it's basically the actual insertion point when you drop the file in, and also, I probably shouldn't say too much, but because I don't really pay attention enough to know. I just go ahead and move them both. But I think it's the 0, 0 location, I believe. But now that I said it, you're going to quote me on it. But anyway, don't quote me on it. I got to look. It's not that critical to even know, really, because if you put them both on the same place, that's all you need to do. Especially for title blocks like this, if you get more into sketch blocks and you need to start sharing sketch blocks across multiple designs, and that's when you need to get more in that detail. But if you look now that I have a block here, that block is now represented there. I don't want to leave this as a block on my document. It's now a block. I'm going to rename it to title block. If I can type. Right-click on it. Save block. I save it to a file. I'm going to put it into a quick place I can go find it later if I need to. I can now insert that block into other drawings very quickly. It's done. It took all of these elements that I wanted to take with it. If I open up a new drawing, watch it blow up on me though. Browsing for the block. And there we have that block now can be inserted into every drawing sheet template that you're making. Now again, what I was going to recommend is do not leave that as a block though, because it's more useful to you when it's exploded in the sheet format. Actually, I need to insert that into the sheet format right here. If you already have your border in place, your insertion point's already set, it will snap to the border. And then you have all the elements that you want already there for you for each of the sheet sizes. So if you do A, B, C, D, E, F, inch, metric, you have 30, 40 templates. You can now put it into each of those templates very quickly. Again, once you insert it, explode it. Don't leave it as a block at that point. So is there a performance hit leaving it as a block? I don't believe so. I just, in my own personal experience, it's just easier to manage not as a block. Yeah, go ahead. I'm not sure. So if you put it... So the linked value, so you're asking if the linked value should work if it stays as a block, and should be applied to the layer as well when you put it onto a layer. I don't really see any difficulty there. I just would, in my own personal experience, I think it's just easier to handle it as exploded elements rather than a block, because then you may need to go into and adjust it, or then you have to go through an extra layer of editing. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. It's a little, editing a block requires more work, so I just explode it, and then that way you don't have to deal with that. Like if I want to move that, now I can just move it. Now if I had this as a block, I'd have to edit it as a block first to move it. Yes, because now in newer versions of SolidWorks, you can edit the block and carry that forward. Yes, that is true. So the question was, yeah, I can edit this block and update it in one place and have that updated elsewhere. Yeah, it does get a little easier in that case. Yeah. So, and you're free, of course, to do it. If you find that works better for you, then please do it. I'm not going to tell anybody no. Yeah. So I'm going to explode this. If you note that it automatically gets replaced with a block on the original document as well, just go ahead and just re-explode that, and you're back to just having components on it. So that's a little trick there to share it across. It should carry the linked properties. Yeah, it's not going to carry the values, but it should carry the linked properties themselves. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you predefined views. Who's using predefined views right now? It's not enough people. These can save you a lot of time. So I'm going to go back to edit the sheet. So predefined view allows you to establish the views that you want on that sheet ahead of time, so that you're not always dragging in, because there's several ways to insert drawing views into a drawing. You can have the model open and drag the part into the drawing. You can use the the view palette as well and drag views in from the view palette. A lot of this stuff deals with dragging. Well, what if you didn't need to do any of that? What if you could just have the drawing open and have the file automatically populating views that already exist? That's what predefined views are for. So I'm going to insert a few of those. And they're really easy. So I'm going to take that as my basic predefined view for my C size. I'm going to go ahead and say, all right, I want the front to be the standard way that I want to view this file. Click on that, and I can immediately have my two projected views coming off of it. And I can also set up an isometric view as well. And all of that's automatic now. Now this is going to be important when you're starting to set up the linked values down here. Right-click on the sheet and edit the properties of that sheet. Take note of your first view, the first view that you created with the predefined view, and you can note that it's the one with the special icon. So that's your drawing view 1 is your first one. And feel free to rename these. If you have an organization where you want to get a little more clever with your files and have them provide a little more information, feel free to rename these. You know. But I don't recommend saying front if you're going to rename it, because you may not want the front to be your first view. So if you're going to rename it, choose something within your organization that makes sense, but don't use specific view names. So that one in this case is just going to be view 1. Right-click, properties. This is where the important link is going to be established with your part. So once I pick this, the values that I end up putting down in here that are going to pull from my part are going to pull from the view that I select here. So whatever part is in that view, that's what's going to populate this title block. I'm going to say drawing view 1 because that's my main predefined view. And OK. I'm going to save this as a drawing template. Actually, let me save it as a second one, just in case. Again, back up, back up, back up. So now that we established your predefined views, we established that your drawing is going to point to this view right here to define custom properties. Let's go ahead and add custom properties then. I can go ahead and start typing here. I'll go into this at the sheet format. I'll put in a description. And I'll go ahead and choose link to property. Model in the specific view, sheet properties, or component. So you want to choose the model in the view, specified view. But you notice here, in my template, I added 3 properties. I added material and description and another property, part number. But they're not showing up here. So I got to remember code, right? I don't want to type in the PRP code directly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that's a little bit of a cheat. Let's just create a file. New file with the property, with the part file that we just created. I want to make sure the properties are there. Properties are there. And just so I can see things happening, I'm going to just go ahead and put in a basic shape. Doesn't really matter which view I'm in. You don't even have to do this part, but I do this just to make sure I can see things happening. And then save it as some name, because you don't really care. Just save it as some name in a folder. You're going to be able to find it quickly. And then create a new drawing from that file. So File, Create, Make Drawing from Part. Choose the template that you're working on. Actually, we haven't done that one yet. Yep, sorry. One more time. So it should be, obviously I put it into a folder where I didn't have it. It's not listed on my chart, my list right now. Okay, so we'll add that to it. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add a new folder to my list of template folders. File locations, templates, and I do have a couple here, but I'm going to add another one that's at the this level. There we go. There we go. Accept it. Apparently I need permission, so yes. There we go. And that's actually one thing with Windows 7 and beyond is to do some of this functionality, especially if you start getting into system options, you're going to need admin rights to your system. So that's something that you have to work with IT if your IT kind of restricts that heavily. All right. Killing myself here. I apologize. I had this set up on my laptop. I'm not using that one though. The other way you can do it is just come to your sheet, edit the sheet format, and these will populate directly from it. So if I'm taking this and dragging it right onto here, I take it from the model and just drag it right on here, this will populate just like that. Now if I go back and edit the sheet format, create a new annotation. Link to the model. Now look what appears. Description appears there. There's a little more setup to do that. I made it look harder than it really was, so hopefully you forgive me for that. So I'll pick in description, I type it there, and there. That's why I put the XXX. See that? Now I have immediate feedback that I just accomplished my task that I wanted to do. And what I suggest for this is center it so that it's going to be centered in the field here, and then increase the size of your border of the bounding box. Like that. And what dragging the bounding box does also is it also sets word wrap, so that if you do have long titles, the long titles will automatically drop to that second line for you. Now revision is going to be a little easier to do because I don't have to point anywhere. I do it from the current document. Do revision. And we'll do part number, which is also from the model now. Part number. And then it's up to you, if you got a small enough field, it's up to you how you want to size this. You can resize the border, the bounding box or not, that's up to you if you want to. I'm just going to show you. Just drag it. But I think for all of these values, center is probably the best choice, the center alignment. And then you move it into position, because that's going to give you the most control over where that is going to appear. If you do it left or right, you may end up, it may always look like that. Or it may always look like that. Whereas if you do it center, you'll have control and it will always be as equally spaced as possible. So I did 3 here. I did a description, I did part number. These 2 I pulled from the file, and I did revision, which I pulled from this document itself. Now what I'm going to show you right now is a little trick with watermarks. same mechanism that we just used. I'm going to go ahead and create a new annotation here. Going to point to, again, the current document, and I'm going to have release status listed there. It says preliminary. It's kind of small and diminutive, so I'm going to increase the size. I'm going to increase the size a lot. Is that big enough? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to even bold it too. All right. If I do that by itself right there, I mean, it's on the sheet format, but look what's going to happen. If I drag a part over it, you kind of get lost in it. And in fact, if I change the color of this, I'll show you even more detail what's going on here. I'll go ahead and change the color. I'll make it light gray. That should get it out of the way, right? Now it's covering my part. What am I doing? What's going on here? Well, SolidWorks has a standard overlay graphical layers. And what we've done in 2013 is we've added a function where it's to support this watermark idea on a drawing. We added a tool. We added a command for you. So I'm going to go back and edit the sheet again. Right-click on the text. And there's a new option here we added in 13 called Display Note Behind Sheet. If I check that, that now changes the rules for that note. I'll go back to the drawing sheet itself, and as you can appear, now it's underneath. It's no longer obscuring your model views. So if you do have a preference to do your watermarks this way and have it large across the sheet, you can now set it so that it's underneath the sheet and not blocking or obscuring any details on the drawing, which has been a problem in the past. Anybody like that one? Yeah? Okay, good. Upgrade to 2013. All right. We're going to talk about table anchors right now. I know there was a question earlier about table anchors. Actually, how are we doing on time real quick here? Because I know we got started late. It's 11:40. I think we're okay. Wait, it's not 11:40 right now, is it? Okay. Yeah, it is. All right, good. We got enough time. Okay. We're going to do table anchors now. If I save this right now with these files in it, okay, I can do two things. I can save this as both a drawing template and a sheet format right now. Even though I have a drawing of a part on here, that's not going to get carried over to the part template. Much like part templates, the drawing template. Much like part templates and assembly templates, you can't store geometry of any type inside of any model geometry inside of the template itself. So if I save this first as a sheet format, I don't have to be inside the sheet format to do it. I don't have to be here to save this as a sheet format. SolidWorks understands that when I check File, Save Sheet Format, it understands that. It knows that I want to save everything on the sheet format to a file now. And what I'll do is I'll save it as format 2 so we don't overwrite anything. Okay? Now that I can use again and again and again and again now. I can start up a new drawing. Doesn't really matter what template I'm using. Browse for my template. The new drawing will have the, actually I need that setting turned on though. One more time. Make sure the, it's because I didn't do it from a part. There we go. Browse for the template, and actually browse for the file format. And I didn't check it yet. I missed it twice. Get used to doing this by habit and then just miss it. Sorry about that. All right, here we go, one more time. There we are. So there should be a setting here. That's what I'm missing. Yeah, there should be a setting there. So when I pick the format, There we go, display sheet format. So when you select a format, the display sheet format will appear. If you don't have a sheet format selected yet, this won't be available yet, of course. Okay, so there we go. That sheet format is now available to be inserted into any document you want, any drawing document. And if I were to drop in a file, a drawing view, notice it automatically starts populating right here. And I didn't even have a predefined view in that case. So it's smart enough to know that even if you don't have predefined views, it's going to take the view with this name, the first view of the file. In fact, I think it probably would be default is what it's going to be. Yeah, default. So if you choose default and you drop a file into your drawing, it will automatically pick the first drawing view and pull the property values from your title block into that property view. The next thing you can do is save as a template. Now, save as a template is done through the save as function. It doesn't have its own listing underneath the file pull down. It automatically knows that's what I was working on before, so I'm just going to go ahead and save that. But I'm going to see if I can save it to a directory where I don't have to go hunting for it later. Templates, tutorials. Yep, there we go. Oh, that folder? I'm just going to put in a tutorial. Yeah. Tutorial should be on my list. Unless I don't have admin access. That's a very good point, actually. All right, we'll just save it to my desktop then. Yep. Okay. So that was saved, and you notice what happened when I saved it. The file that was inside those views disappeared, and it just saved the views themselves. Okay. So let's get back to anchors now. There are a lot of anchors in SolidWorks, and that's something that I think that a lot of people don't set in their files. So I'm going to go ahead and edit the sheet format. If I go here and click the sheet format and open that up, a lot of people never do that. You can see here, this is something that CAD admins need to do. Come here and look at all of these anchor locations. SolidWorks has some good defaults. It automatically finds some of them for you. But what we're going to do is I'm going to set the revision table anchor. Right now you can see, if you click anywhere on here, you can kind of see these dots all over the drawing, right? I don't know if you can see them very well from that distance, but they're there. There's one up here called revision, but I'm going to go ahead and just show you the process. Set anchor, so I'll right click on revision table anchor, set anchor. Come to the location, it highlights it for me. And then I pick that anchor is now set. I can save that to the sheet format. So when I insert a table, I'll insert a revision table, use the standard one. I don't have to do any work to insert it. It's already there. It automatically goes to that spot. Somewhat useful. Now, a good drawing template, though, you do only do that once when you create it. I can now save that drawing template, and the revision table will always be at that location when I open up the drawing template. Drawing template stores the revision table. You got general table, bomb tables. You can set them up for each one of those styles. So there's a title block or a title block command inside of the sheet format, which allows you to establish a link. It allows you to basically set entry fields in your title block. These entry fields are smart enough to know that they're pointing to a part or the drawing itself. If you edit these fields within the drawing itself, that information is fed back to your part. That's how smart these are. So you got to edit the sheet format again. Right-click anywhere you want, and this is, they put it in a location where I actually want to click it too often, but it's right here, right in the most obvious spot. It's going to zoom out. You choose the area that you want to be your title block area, and then you select the fields that you want to be affected by this. In this case, I'm going to choose the description and the part number. I'll keep it simple for this demo. Just choose those two. Okay? Now I'll go outside back to the part. I can edit these now when there's something to edit. Or my selection is on. Turn that off. Okay. So you just double click on it. And when you do have a model present, you can start editing these fields. So if I drop a model into this file, these fields are occupied. Now I can edit those fields and name it here, usually. There we go. It's taking a little bit of time there. Open the part up. And those values got pushed through back to the part. And that's what I meant earlier when I said you can set up your title block so that people aren't going to be as, the engineers and the drafters aren't going to be as likely to go edit the title block. Just make it so easy for them that they don't want to go edit the title block anymore. And you can use this function to do that. And this basically is kind of a powerful parametric method because you can edit it. You can edit these fields now in the part or in the drawing. Either place, you get the same result. And as with everything, when you get to a certain point that you're happy with the results, go ahead and one more time. There we go. Go ahead and save the template and the format. And you preserve those changes. You may have to make some adjustments afterwards. That shouldn't happen very often. Okay. Yes? Yeah, I used to use that. Actually, I used to use that extensively. So yeah, so the question is, have I ever used, I think you're probably suggesting that. Is there anybody here using the property tab? And yeah, the property tab is very valuable. It allows you to set up the entry point, the entries for your values for your custom properties on the document. The advantage there is that you can set pull downs that allow you to set pre-established values. So if you have 6 engineers and you want to just add their names to a list of items here for author, you can put a pull down so they can just pick their name. So yeah, that is a useful app. To use this though, I think I would have to do a whole nother session to show how to create. So that's why I didn't go there with this session, but that is something valuable to look at. So if you do have time in your help, check out the property tab. It's a pretty advanced option. It allows you to create. It's almost like a lot of companies used to do in the old days where they used to create macros to enter in all their custom properties. This automates that process for you. And once it's done. And it's very easy to start. You can create now and you're into the interface making it. So that's a good point. Was there any other questions? Yeah?
They use property editor, but I find most of the users still in their hotkey and go
Mm-hmm. So you can. So the question is there a way to? Well, that's not really a question; it's a comment. But is there a way to force users to stop using the old property manager and to use the property tab instead? You can push. That is a setting. It's in the key. The keystroke itself would be a setting in the document or in the system options, and those could be saved over with Copy Settings Wizard. So you might want to take that button away from them. And then use your admin rights to control them from editing the system options. Other than that, I'm not really sure. As you can see, like I said, that could be an enhancement request. I'm kind of leery of enhancement requests, though, that start getting into security on the documents themselves, because then we have to start looking at what level of security do we need. Do we just need a quick little password? Well, passwords are pretty easily defeated. So do we need to get into 128-bit encryption on your drawings? They'll grow by 50 times the size. But that's an interesting comment, though. We can probably look at it. Yeah. Okay. Design checker's helping you out already, though. Okay, good. There was a question here.
The way we actually deal with that is we just made it really simple right on the template, just like you did.
Mm-hmm.
Linked it back to all those properties right in the.
Yeah, some people prefer it that way. Yep.
You don't ever have to look at anything. You just type it right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very useful. And that's the great thing is you have the option. You can use the title on-screen title block, or you can use the property editor, the property tab. Yeah, that's one of the advantages. So I'm going to show you a little a tip and trick right now. And whether you use it or not is up to you. SolidWorks, for various reasons, doesn't allow most types of annotations to appear in the title block inside the sheet format because there's a lot of stuff to track when you start allowing more types of annotations in the sheet format. But using the power of the sheet format with the title block itself, with the not the title block, with the drawing template itself, you can leverage some abilities in SolidWorks and kind of trick it into doing what you want it to do. One of those tricks is putting GD&T in your title block. Right now, if I go to edit sheet format, you find out what I did here. I just drew it in, right? Because if you try to add if you try to add a GD&T frame, it's not even listed. It's not available. I can't do it. The only thing I can add is a note and, oddly enough, caterpillars, which is kind of interesting. But that's it. So if I try to add GD&T from the annotation, it's all grayed out here. So does anybody have any ideas of how to get around that? Yeah?
Could you add a note and you can then, instead of typing, put it in as a symbol? Symbol library?
You can add the symbol itself, but the GD&T itself, the frame wouldn't come in. Yeah, because there's no symbol for the frame, right? So I'll show you a little trick real quick. One place you can add a GD&T is on your drawing. And I guess maybe I should discuss one of the reasons why you might want to add a GD&T call out to your drawing template real quick. There is a push in the industry to start relying on the solid models more frequently for design, for building parts. When you send out a part to a vendor, a lot of times they're using the actual solid model itself directly. And it's not necessary in many industries, it's not necessary to go through and try to dim expert that model in the 3D space. That isn't something that you may need to do, especially if you just want to focus on critical to function dimensions. But you should still define the whole part. You should still give a tolerance to the whole part. One that is in such a way that that's clear, a way that's clear. Because if you do, one practice I've seen a long time ago is it will say, all measurements to be plus and minus blah, blah, blah. So basically it was saying if I take any linear measurement in the model, that linear measurement should be a such and such tolerance. But then how do you do the stack up? You're taking random measurements on the model. There's no way to measure that and control it. So something that's come up in the past few years is the ability to use the power of the profile tolerance, which has been expanded in ASME Y14.5-2 2009. The power of profiles have been expanded in that standard. And I'll show you real quick. So I'll just do a little quick thing. I'll just say I want a basic profile. Well, no such thing as a basic profile, but I want a profile that's going to apply to all my surfaces, all my geometric surfaces in the model. So if the model deviates from, if the real part deviates from the model, it can only deviate by the same amount allowed by the profile tolerance in the feature control frame. However, just saying that by itself doesn't really provide enough control either. To apply it to the model all around, there's a new standard. There's a new item added to the ASME Y14 2009 standard called all over. So I'll do that right there. I'll say, apply that profile all over. And what some companies may do is they may add standard, just to have more clarity, they'll add standard datums. But for this example, we don't really need it. So I placed that there, and I placed that there on the drawing sheet, not the sheet format. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new note, and I'm just going to leave that note right here and click on this, and it populates it. Anybody know what's going to happen next? Yep. Cut and paste. I'm not even going to copy it. I'm just going to cut it right out, go to the sheet, paste it into the sheet. Pretty cool, huh? It's there now. Drawback is you do have to go back to the drawing to edit it, and there's not a very easy way to edit it. But we'll go into that in a second here. So it's still here on the drawing. And that trick I showed you earlier with the dimensions, use it here for this as well. Just hide it. That's it. If you do need to change that value, you can just go unhide it using the show high annotation and change the value. However, the reason to have it in the title block is because you probably don't want it changed very often. And then you can just place that wherever you want to place that. Now, it means, of course, every time you use that title block by itself, without the original template that you've set this up in, it's going to come up blank. So you just have to keep that in mind to always make sure you have a very tight title block relationship with your title block and template. And it looks like we may be, it's noon right now. So that's it. I didn't get to go through this because we did lose about 20 minutes. So hopefully people aren't too hurt, but thank you. And thank you. When the sessions are all uploaded, you'll have all of the instructions uploaded at that time to the SolidWorks website, which is probably in about a month or two. Yeah.
I think you just answered my question. I was going to ask for a copy of your...
Yeah, all that stuff. Copies of all the presentations for SolidWorks World are going to be available on the SolidWorks website, presentation site, in about a month or two, I think. Yeah. Cool. Thanks.